I've got to be honest with you. You're like 2 levels away from evolving now, and just to warn you, you're going to evolve into this guy who looks big and awesome. However, you aren't going to be nearly as cute and marketable anymore, so don't expect any screen time. I'm sorry. I asked you guys on Twitter whether or not this guy was worth opening, because to be honest, I got him with a wave with Nitro and really just intended to get this guy to eBay as fast as possible. But enough of you talked me into it where I gave him a chance, so at the very least, we can take a look at the new Voyager class Scorn. Because, in the original, he was a deluxe toy. Now he's a Voyager because Spinosaurs are supposed to be really, really big, and he was pretty big in the movie. So he finally has a figure a little bit more appropriate and a little bit more screen accurate, no less. So, as stated, he is a Spinosaur, which if you've seen Jurassic Park 3, you will know is a bigger, badder predator than the T-Rex. He's a little duck-billed, but hey, if he's an effective killer, I'm not going to tell him that. You can tell him that if you really, really want to. I personally would not. But he is a very cool looking dino here. He is cast in a muted shade of red as well as gray. Gray having a little bit of metallic element to it just to give it enough of a metallic look, just a slight one. It does not compare, however, to the metallic look of all of this silver paint we got going on. He's airbrushed literally from snout to tip of the tail. It's exceptionally well done and is a lot of paint for a toy these days. I have to chastise Hasbro sometimes, skipping on paint, especially in the new age of stickers returning to Transformers. This is quite refreshing to see. The claws are done, his feet are done, tons of paint on here, and we haven't even gotten to the robot mode yet. He looks exceptionally cool. I really like it, especially the airbrushing along the spines we got going on here. Speaking of, 3 combs worth this time rather than the 1 of the original toy, so you actually have a more, well, not a realistic Spinosaur, but certainly one that looked like it did in the first time, or not, let's be correct here, 4th movie, his first appearance. But at the very least, he looks cool, and he looks the part of Scorn. What's really cool about this beast mode, however, is what you get in articulation. You see this close-up of the head here, looking very cool. Though I wish his eyes were a little bit more pronounced. They're just really sunken in. He's just like all eyelid, which is kind of weird. But what you get in this toy is articulation in the beast mode. That's really cool. For instance, a turning neck, as well as a hinge going left and right, and an opening mouth, fully sculpted tongue and everything. You even have a little bit of webbing here, just to look like stretched skin with his mouth open. Exceptionally cool looking. We have ball joints here at the shoulders, I'm going to say. It's dinosaur anatomy. I'm just rolling with it. Hips, on the other hand, are universal jointed, so plenty of room there. No angled tilt, but angled, so his feet can stand outward. He also has the knee bends, which are really good, as well as a thigh swivel. And back to the tail, we have some range here. Goes up and down. Everything here goes up and down at 2 different points. Excellent job. There is a lot. You can even articulate it up at the base of the tail. This means you have an exceptionally cool toy to pose around. You can get him to some pretty expressive poses. He can be hunting, he can be gazing, he can be looking oddly confused at a noise you just made, like a dog would, but he, in general, is very fun to play with in this mode, to the point where most of the time I've owned this toy, he has been in this mode, just because I find it a little bit more interesting to goof around with. So, Beast Mode, I'm exceptionally happy. There are flaws that we can poke at. For instance, everyone brings up the fact that, yeah, he just has this robot mode arm hanging off of his belly. But you know what? When you're a dinosaur made of shrapnel, I'm not going to argue a piece of shrapnel that looks suspiciously like an arm mixed in with it. So I'm going to give him a little bit of credit here and just roll with it. You do what you do, Scorn. Fine by me. I'll also let you know that there is a lot of rubberized plastic going on here. His fins are rubber, which is good in this case because these are a lot of really sharp points. This would be legitimately dangerous if they were firm plastic. You also have the frills up here that are also in the soft plastic, as is the outside of the tail. I like that this is being used a little bit more intelligently. It's not being left to just things they want to make cheaper, but parts that are easily broken or would be harmful. So that's not a bad use of it, and it really doesn't deter my interest in the toys. It's not like we had in like the Generations line where like Blitzwing's head was rubber for no reason. So, robot mode. Bear with me. I haven't transformed this guy very much, so this might be sloppy, but we will get an entire transformation out of it. First off, I'm going to flip the legs over into robot mode because this is my favorite part of the transformation. You hook the heel up, that way it can pass through, and then reconnect there to fill up what's going to be the knee guard. I love this. It's not as simple as just straighten it out and that's the robot leg. No, they actually put some attention into it. So once again, we fold the heel up, spin the whole leg around, and then click in. And this is, again, where being made of shrapnel comes in handy, because it kind of hides the fact that this was a robot mode foot. So that works for me. Go ahead and flip these down as well. Fake jaw pieces, because there's really no way they could have gotten the actual head down there to the pelvis. Okay, so alongside, I need to get the back unpegged. A little bit tricky here. There's a lot of interconnecting pegs here and a lot of strange engineering choices that we're going to get into. For instance, when you can see in here, there's this weird little thing where this shifts into different positions depending on where it pegs in during transformation. So you can see, pegging into these panels here for this mode, they'll peg along to the side once we get them transformed. But I don't like this, see that little slot there? That's involved in both robot mode and beast mode transformations. I don't like how it moves. It feels unsecure every time I do it. So it's a little bit of an annoyance. So I'm just unclicking connection points here. Move all this down and out of the way. So it's out there on the belly. For the back piece, you hinge these parts in, open that up, and then the entire spinal section can open up. We can fold the head away in like so. Now we need to get some major shifts going here. So we'll go ahead and rotate that piece like so. Get that out of the way so we can fold these hip sections down. This is a transformation type I haven't seen in a while. This is like very Transmetal 2 Megatron, where the hips for the beast mode become the hips for the robot mode by closing in on themselves like that. I had someone tell me theirs broke off, which is something Transmetal 2 Megatron did on me before, so now I'm a little bit cautious of that. I just realized it's something out of order. Hang on. This is where, I apologize. I'm being a little bit sloppy here because I've not done this often. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the head out. I should have done that before, and that gives me the room to tuck everything away and fold everything up the way it's supposed to go. And that serves a little bit better. Now I can close this off. All right, now we go to the shoulders where you have to make sure those little tabs are aligned with the tabs that are now exposed here. Connecting in like so. It's not a firm connection either. That's what I think kind of bugs me on this particular transformation. It's come on. There's 2 connection points and you got to make sure both are in at the same time. Hang on. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of that connection point. I'm also not a fan of the fact that this tab is mismolded on mine because someone tried to cram it into place when the plastic wasn't quite set yet. Good thing I didn't sell it on eBay. That probably would have come back to bite me pretty quick. So we'll get these beast mode arms out of the way. That frees up his robot mode arm, which we're going to leave like that just for now. And that pretty much does us in. We are ready to look at this guy. The shoulders will stay in his full robot mode, where he stands pretty tall for a modern Voyager and pretty hefty. He's very bulky in a lot of his spots. Very sturdy looking Transformer. Very solid feeling Transformer as well. And an interesting transformation, though I am not the one to go to for like how to transform this toy, clearly, but it's at least an entertaining experience to get him from one mode to another. So as usual, we're going to take a look at the head first off, and he's got something of a Jay Leno thing going on with his face. Though that's a really dated reference at this point. Who's the celebrity with a big chin now? Bruce Campbell? No, we'll just say animated Sentinel Prime and keep it in the Transformer realm. He has the same kind of medieval helmet look. This seems to be something worn to prevent spears and lances from gouging out your neck, which is a good thing to avoid doing if you're a knight, I would say. So yeah, I like that they're keeping with this medieval look. It kind of gives the Dinobots a bit of a theme of their own amongst Transformers in the movie line, and it kind of is thematic with The Last Knight. So yeah, as stated, he's pretty big and solid for a modern Voyager toy. I've seen some really lanky or just hollow or lightweight feeling robots lately out of the Voyager line, so this is a bit of a breath of fresh air, especially at the higher price point Voyagers now go for. Again, we're looking at a lot of red and a lot of gray. A lot of that silver has been quarantined to his arms, a little bit on his sides as well. New colors included. We have a torso that is done up with some airbrushed black, leaving the center to have the Autobot sigil painted on, as well as some more silver down the middle. The fun thing about this is if you look at the back of the packaging on Scorn, you see like the official production photos, he actually has less paint. They actually added paint during the production since taking those photos. That's actually really rare for them to do. Usually you see paint apps taken away. A little bit more silver there on the feet, which have a little bit of a clown shoe thing to them. But hey, I'm sure if he kicked somebody with those, they would not be getting up for a while. So I'm not going to argue. Again, I'm not going to argue with the Spinosaur. You're free to. I'm not. I'm just not. He also has the same kind of thing going on where very Beast Wars of him to have a tail for an arm. But again, if you view it, I think I said this about the Deluxe, if you view it as a medieval lance type weapon, or I guess this is articulated, so maybe a whip or something, then he kind of gets away with that. You know, I'm not gonna argue the Spinosaur. So how we look here. You have these really cool details. He's still really well sculpted. I'm still a really big fan of this. Let me go to the articulation so we can see just how much he is improved over the Deluxe, if he is. So, ball-jointed head, has a little bit of up and down, and everything's sculpted away to avoid that big chin of his. That's really well thought out. Shoulders are universally jointed, as in they have one hinge there at the torso, as well as another hinge going outward at the shoulder itself. You want to be careful with them because, like I said, the tabs on the chest, at least on mine, do not hold in very well. They're very easy to pull open, so be mindful when posing. Fully rotating biceps on both sides, full elbow on both sides, so exceptionally cool there. Much to my delight, an actual wrist hinge, so he doesn't have to do the barbell arm thing. I hated that about the others. He even has articulated fingers. He can grip and grab down onto things. That's really cool. I like that. It's not something you see that much anymore. All the articulation in the tail still works if you want him to have some kind of, like I said, a whip pose as opposed to a spear, though this makes quite a devilish and damaging looking spear, so I'm going to keep it that way. And then we have hips. They're from the beast mode, so they have universal range. I will say the hip armor does actually fold up. That's probably better for beast mode articulation, but just to account for it, it can move too. Full rotation there at the thighs, the knees, about 90 degrees, that's good. And then we do have an ankle tilt down at the foot. Excellent. So bottom line, lots of range of posability in this guy. Very menacing looking knight. Very, very cool addition to the movie Dinobots. And the question here, is he better than the Deluxe? Well, I will say the Deluxe is easier to just pick up and play with, and I still really like the design that the Deluxe has going on. An improvement, that's a little bit debatable. So yes, The new Scorn is definitely more screen accurate, but I do like the added orange highlights of the Deluxe as well as the way they dealt with the spines on the back. One fin is not accurate to the movie, but I like this samurai fan thing that he has going on. I thought that was a really cool silhouette for him to have, and I feel like a little bit of that is lost with the new one. You've got the spines on the back, but they just kind of feel a little bit more cumbersome. They don't feel like they're adding to his design or his overall silhouette the way that the Deluxe manages to use them. So that's a nitpick, and it's a personal preference. I still think I like the look of the Deluxe better, where I can still admit, though, that the Voyager all around is probably the better toy. Aside from a few nagging issues about transformation, he does have an exceptionally nice paint job. It feels very solid, feels very heavy for the size. If more Voyagers were like this, with this much paint and this much weight to them, I could definitely see a justification to the upcharge that they went through recently. This makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about spending $30 on what we still call a Voyager toy. That said, it is up to you which one is better. I'd say they both stand as pretty excellent toys, regardless of which one you prefer.